Okay, here's a tricky one. For today's shoot, I'm doing a like-for-like comparison of the Panasonic GH4, which I'm recording just now on, versus the Canon 5D Mark II. So bigger flash, bigger camera, bigger sensor, higher ISO performance or cleaner images. However, maybe not quite as wide a lens. But here's just effectively just showing you what you can get from both cameras. Got them on exactly the same settings, both at f4 at a 30th of a second. This one unfortunately has a TTL flash on it. You know, the Panasonic doesn't. So I'm just using that in manual, but an ISO around about 1250. So this is how the photos look from these two cameras today. Okay, so here we are getting to actually look at the photos. So as I've done a little corrections of the white balance. I think I was slightly off with the two of them, but I've set them so they're both, hold on, I'll just make this one 4050 white balance. So that's the Canon lens and that's the Panasonic with exactly the same settings. And you are getting a serious amount of extra width with the 7mm, which when you put that into equivalence is 14mm. But also it's a different shape of photo. We're getting much more height up and down as well. So this is, I think this is going 4:3 instead, or 3:2 instead of 4:3. For example, if I mark both of these and if I press N, we can see them side by side. So the actual size ratio of the Panasonic is a bigger ratio. You've got a more of a square photo. You can change that. There's multiple options. You could do it 1:1, 3:2, 4:3, or 16:9. But if I was looking at these two images straight away, I'd be going, hey, I like this one over here. There's a little bit of vignetting going up in the corners, but in terms of like this vignetting over here, that is pretty bad. Also, in terms of the width of the image, so we can see just at the side of this room building there. And in this one, same side, but we can see all the way past the actual chair, and we can see the drawers at the side as well. So you're getting a bit more distance. I'll just check white balance and color corrections. This one's +4. I should just make this one. So this is it straight out of camera. So no editing, no lens correction or anything going on. And I think Panasonic is probably the shot that I would go for. Definitely, if I go for side-by-side shot, this seems like the much clearer image, which is from the Panasonic. What I'll do is I'll crop this one so that it is roughly the same as the Canon. Well, in terms of height-wise, it's the same. So now I've got a much wider shot. So for inside properties, that's looking pretty good. So in terms of what, like dynamic range, okay, if we were to look outside of the window, it's all pretty blue. Are we gaining any more with the full frame Canon sensor, apart from the fact that it's pretty much kind of out of focus? Let's see, Panasonic, nice and crisp and sharp. Canon, full frame, 60mm, kind of. I think also this lens is not so good near the edges. Let's see, if we look at the stripes on this curtain here and on this one, just so much better. And this is the ISO 1250 on the two of them, so it's a pretty good. Let's see, let's say dynamic range of this light here. Let's see, do we get more or less with the Panasonic? No, I can't really tell. There's not a difference for me to be able to see, for me to go, oh yeah, that was better. But Panasonic on this shot wins. Oh wait, but I must put asterisks there. That's it before any editing. So straight out of camera raw files, Panasonic definitely won. So if that's the Canon, that's Panasonic. Canon, Panasonic. Exposure wise, and what it looks like on this full 27-inch screen monitor here. Yeah, Panasonic wins. Wow. Okay, let's see the next one. Okay, so this is same room from another angle, so we could see out into the hallway. Again, both got exactly the same settings going on here. So, for example, this was 60mm f4, 30th of a second, 1250 ISO, and the other one, 1250 ISO, 1/25th of a second, so doing it at 30th of a second, and f4, but 7mm. And straight off, the Canon seems like it's got a little bit more contrast, maybe. But let's say, okay, with the Canon here, what I did is I said, right, we'll see from the edge of this door, and then which one is this? This is the Panasonic. So we're seeing all the way over to these two lights here. The other one, you're not seeing quite as much. However, the main thing is we're seeing a lot more height. Let's see them both together again. So yeah, Panasonic, much more ceiling real estate area to see, but also if you look at where the bed is, bed ends just at the edge there. Here we get a lot more of the room with the Panasonic. Again, in term now, what I'm quite interested in, let's say we go and look at the dynamic range that, or the brightness that we're getting of this light thing here. That's with the Panasonic and with the Canon. Canon's probably got a little bit more contrast. Its darks are a little bit darker, but oh god, I go for this one. Which one's this one? That one? Yeah, go for that one. A little bit brighter maybe. But this is getting pixel peeping. But then another thing, let's go out to the sides. So if here I'm looking at, I've got a couple of pictures in the room next door. Here, yeah, it's kind of the same, Pretty difficult. And also remember, I'm using a manual flash compared to a TTL flash. So, yeah, but in terms of this one having quite strong vignetting going on around the corners, it's pretty, Canon's not winning on this one again. Okay, let's see what I got for the next shot. Okay, this one, the Canon much brighter. However, I suspect that's due to the flash rather than settings, because the settings are exactly the same. We've got 30th of a second, ISO 1250, 1/25th of a second, ISO 1250. So this area here is darker on the Panasonic than the Canon. So the Canon wins here, but if we look at, say, let's go, if we're going to go next door on the Panasonic, it's kind of blurred, kind of got a little bit of mush to it. The Canon, a little bit worse, but really, it's not huge. It's not to the point where I'm going, obvious. And let's see, what can I do? Bring up some shadows. So I've just done a color spot or a white balance spotter on this black and white picture here. And if we flip from the two again, I've added a little bit of exposure and shadow balancing here, but again, it's a tough one. Let's get them side by side. It's really the side by side where you kind of go, there's a difference here. Do I see a difference? Very difficult to tell. I think the Canon here has got better color in the matte. Like, you see yeah, kind of maybe a bit of a better color there. Difficult one to really give too much info in there. I see the Canon one, the one there. So that's 2-1. Okay, Canon's back to getting a bit of a better hope here. Bathroom shot. Okay, let's get this one. What I'm going to do for this one, I'm going to do color, like a spot white balance checker off this thing there. What do you call it? Sync thing. What am I on about? And because like each lens, although it should just give you exactly perfect color, they do sometimes have a little bit of a color cast because there are lots of glass and all that kind of stuff. So it can potentially cause a color cast. So each lens be slightly different. We'll have a look at here. So the Canon here, 2750 white balance, 2800. So yeah, pretty much getting the same white balance. +8, +8. Yes, it's pretty much exactly the same white balance. So no problem there. but let's see, which one do I like more? Okay, with the Panasonic, we're getting width. We're seeing right to the edge here. We're seeing the doorknob and the wall at the other side. The Canon, we're not seeing there. We are seeing the door. We are like a little bit more zoomed into the shot. It's hard to see. So that's the only thing that's blown out on that one. And this one, again, the only thing that's blown out there. Both really good. I actually, if I go to the Panasonic, this one seems to have a bit more of a green cast to it. Then this one seems like a bit of a pink cast. So that's one of the things you just get blind at looking at the shots. But I would call that, they're different, but equal. I would go on that one there. Okay, this next shot here, possibly, this looks like a Canon win here. Same shots again, different ISO that we're shooting on this one. Let me just double check. So the ISO on the Panasonic was definitely ISO 800, so brought it down a stop. It's still 30th of a second. The Canon, 30th of a second, ISO 800. So these should be exactly the same exposure, but this is where sometimes a camera company will say, hey, it's ISO X, but in reality it might be X minus 5 kind of thing, or whatever math you want to do. So here, although they both say ISO 800, maybe that Panasonic is actually only pumping out ISO 600 or something around about that. Let's see them both side by side again. Okay, so the Canon vignetting pretty strong here. The Panasonic just a little bit too dark here. Let's blown out highlights. Okay, you've got it around the lights and you've got it outside. That's absolutely fine. And with the Panasonic, yeah, pretty much exactly the same. In terms of, we're wanting everything from the side of the sofa to be in focus. The side of the sofa is in focus, that's fine. To, let's say we're wanting to see the edge of this picture over here. That seems good with the Canon. So the Canon does a fantastic job here. Panasonic possibly looks like it's got a little bit more noise going on. So let's just boost up the exposure by 2/3 of a stop. Let's see, does it get close? So there, yeah, pretty much that's it. Bring the Panasonic up by 75% of, well, 3/4 of a stop, and is now better than the Canon. I would say, definitely. That was quite easy, and you're getting that extra width. So for this one, straight out of camera, Canon wins-ish. Simple editing, Panasonic wins. They're really surprised by these. Okay, next shot here, Panasonic on the left, Canon on the right. It's really a case of, if anyone thought, oh, I want to go for full frame because the image quality is so much better, I'm really going to have to start advising people to stop thinking about that. Okay, again, lens selection for ultra wide angle with the Canon is a 16-35 f2.8. This is it stopped down, a full stop down to f4, and yet there's still strong vignetting going on here. But in terms of just everything, it seems to be there's very little difference, even to the trained eye here. This one seems better. Okay, Panasonic sharper at a longer distance here. Yes, if you look at the tree in the background, nice and sharp. Canon a bit mush. Ruined. There's my stupid head. And then Canon also showing my stupid head, or Panasonic also showing my stupid head. So there, you're getting that extra width. I'm seeing whatever that is. I have no idea what that is. Maybe that's a building next door. It just seems odd. But tough one to decide there. Let's go into the kitchen now. Okay, so next shot here we've got in the kitchen. Panasonic. Let's see them side by side. Canon totally wins on this one. Again, I suspect that may have something to do with the flash that we've got here. Although both saying exactly the same settings, the Panasonic is clearly a darker image. Let's just give that an exposure boost. Yeah, okay. And again, just one full boost up, and it's very difficult to tell the difference. More height up and down the way, possibly less contrast. Let's say I just put clarity up, contrast up on the Panasonic, and whites up as well. Does it get close to the Canon? I would say it is definitely a different shot. But yeah, here, so with the Panasonic, we're able to see right over to the cooker, right over to the door. With the Canon, we're seeing the door, not seeing over to the cooker there. So that's the only slight bummer there. But in terms of like noise performance as well, I've done no noise reduction. Let's see. This is the Canon. This is the Panasonic. Give it time to... Panasonic, fractionally more noisy at ISO 640. You can see it. There is a slight difference. The Canon is smoother. Canon wins this one. Okay, so this last shot, looking back at the property, there is a significant exposure difference here. So I would say if you're using the Panasonic, you definitely have to err on the side of overexposing from what you see on the screen. So if we just look at this, this is the, oh my god, which one is it? I can't tell. 16mm, this one is at ISO 200, 40th of a second f4. The other one, same settings, but 7mm, a lot darker. These are taken, seconds between each other. And yeah, Canon definitely wins on this one. It's just brighter, it's more pleasing colour, even though the white balance is exactly the same. Let's see if with the Panasonic, if I just boost that up, maybe give the white balance a bit more, do my normal kind of settings that I would do. My goodness, I need to bring the white balance up ridiculously high. And then seeing them side by side. So what I would say is definitely, it seems like the Panasonic GH4 in competition with the Canon 5D Mark II, full frame, 21 million pixels versus a micro four thirds 16 megapixel camera. In terms of what you're able to get straight out of camera, it's incredibly close. And with some very simple exposure adjustments in post, you're getting near identical shots. Granted, there's probably a tiny little bit more noise visible with this guy at all ISOs in comparison to the Canon. But you're getting a wider image with less vignetting and a deeper depth of field. So you've got more things in focus with this little guy at 7mm compared to the Canon at 16mm. So if I don't know, if I say which one is the winner here, I would say the Canon did it, because the first bedroom ones with the flash possibly was better off the Panasonic. Right, okay, if I've got to give an answer, which one is better, the Panasonic or the Canon? The Canon's flaw here is the lens. The lens is not as good as the Panasonic 7 to 14mm lens. However, the 7 to 14mm lens, you can't put any filters on the front because it's got an attached hood. So that's its flaw. Slight bummer with using the Canon filters on this. You always get the reflection because it's hitting off the side of the lens here. So that means cannot use them. Damn. You get more depth of field with this one. Image quality is just fantastic with both. You get a wider shot with this one. Which one won? At this stage, my advice would be, if you are counting the money, if you're wondering which one's better for the money, I would say the Panasonic wins. If these were both, let's say both of these were just £1,000, Would I say get the Canon? I don't know. I actually don't know. I actually don't know. If okay, I know exactly what I'd do. If I was going off to Spain and I was going to be shooting a lovely property in the sunshine and it was going to be good and had lots of time to do it. Let's say I had a 2-day shoot of a property or is going out to the Alps, something like that. Boom, this is the one I take. Absolutely 100%. If I'm shooting in a place where it's potentially pretty rubbish weather, potentially it's going to be a hard contrast, I need to put filters on, potentially it's going to be low light and I'm going to need a pretty decently high ISOs, like ISO 2000 or above, I will go with the Canon. But for 90% of the other stuff, the Panasonic, being about, once you take into account the SD cards, the lens cost, the flashes cost, the extra batteries if you ever need one or anything like that, this one being around about £600-700 cheaper and so much easier, lighter, it's so much better, and the fact you can do it from your phone as well, Panasonic wins. I hope that helps. Sorry for this being so incredibly long, but I know some of you are really kind of wondering what to get, and I think it really depends on what you're shooting, but I suspect that for 90% of the cases, the Panasonic is more than enough. What do you think? Cheers. Bye-bye.